What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to share with you all some Pennywise collectibles. I will be unboxing some items that I've had for a little while here. And I'm also going to talk about It Chapter 2. I do want to assure you that this will be spoiler free. I know that the movie's only been out for one weekend thus far at the time of this recording. So for people that are not already familiar with the story, whether that be from the novel or the original miniseries, like I said, I'm going to be careful about spoilers. So just be assured of that if you have not seen the movie just yet. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I've already switched up my background here to focus on it, and I'm of course mainly focusing on Pennywise because I'm not so concerned about collecting the Losers Club. I do have Georgie over here, you see. As far as Pennywise goes, I'm missing just 3 of the pop figures of this current version of Pennywise. I will say I know a lot of you probably are fans of the Tim Curry Pennywise. I didn't really come up off of that miniseries, so I really don't have that nostalgia factor for him. I have seen some bits of his performance. I think he did do a great job, but again, the nostalgia is not there for me personally, so I'm not focusing on collecting that version of Pennywise. But as far as the current Pennywise is concerned, I'm missing just 3 of the pop figures, I believe. I don't have the Chase. I used to have it. It's not in my collection currently. I may try to add it back in, even though I still am not crazy about the coloring of the Chase variant. Also, the black and white one, which I believe was an FYE exclusive that came along with the t-shirt, and the t-shirt is probably the reason I didn't go ahead and order that, because of course it bumped up the price. But I do like the look of the black and white one, so I may try to track that down. And then Pennywise with wig is definitely one I want to have in my collection, because that is a reference to, I think, the best scene in It Chapter 1. I'm actually holding the movie moment from It Chapter 1, and of course you have Georgie there leaning down by the sewer, and you see Pennywise there. Now this is out of box, but I do have one that is in box, so this is my second one. And the reason that this is out of box is that this was actually sent to me as a late birthday gift from Jeff Funko Poppin', and he does have a Instagram account where he shows off his customs, because he is a custom artist, and this is actually a custom. I'll show you what it's all about in just a moment here, but you see that he did include this little note here. He has Pennywise's hair in the balloon there, and it says, "FM, thank you for your support. It means a lot." Okay, so this was very cool of him to send this my way, and like I said, this is a custom. Let me show you exactly what makes this a custom. I turned off most of my lights to make sure that you could see this well, and you see that that is a light up Pennywise there. So he hit me up. I think I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I think he was asking me if there was any customs that I was interested in, and I'd seen him do some light up customs previously, so I thought it would be a cool idea if he could find a way to do like a light up Pennywise, or or something along those lines. And yeah, he figured out how to put this together, and this is very cool. It does have a switch. You can't see it right now because it's so dark in here, but there is a switch on the side. I'll show that in just a moment, where it turns off and on. And I like that with his light up custom, that it actually stays on. With the light up figures that Funko has done thus far, you basically just press a button and it lights up for a couple of seconds, then it goes off. I understand why they did it that way, but I do like the option to have something that actually stays lit up. So this is very cool, and definitely a big shout out to Jeff Funko Poppin' for putting this together. So real quick on the back side here, like I said, you can see there is a switch back there. Okay, and the wires are hidden pretty well on the back side there, and it's very easy to just turn this on. So I really do like that. That is very cool that he was able to put this together. I have this 5-star Pennywise that has been sitting here for a while. Of course, you can see him through the window there, and then this opens up. And I really did want to wait, to find a perfect video to open this up. And I think this is a good time to go ahead and get this out of the packaging, and then I will add him to the background here. And while I'm taking him out of the packaging, I do want to go ahead and talk some about It Chapter 2. And I got to be honest with you all up front, I was not very impressed by the movie. I'm not going to say it was a bad movie. I don't necessarily regret going to see it in the theater, because I just had to see it, because after seeing the first movie, because I thought the first movie was so well done. Oh, and by the way, I will show you all with this. It actually does have pieces of plastic holding it in, so I will have to cut those real quick to get this out. If somebody told me that It Chapter 2 had different filmmakers behind it, a different director, different writer, even different producers, I would probably believe them, because it just does not quite feel like the first one. I thought the first one did have a very nice flow to it. You know, it was well edited, very well put together. Whereas with the second one, I think it's because they had just so much story to tell that the first couple of minutes of the movie, maybe like even like the first 45 minutes, as much as the first 45 minutes or so, it just felt very erratic. Like it was trying to cram a lot in there very quickly, and yet I can't necessarily say that it had a lot of depth to it. So yeah, it just, like I said, I was not really feeling it like from very early on, and it surprised me. And it really did feel like it was made by somebody else, you know, directed by someone else. But no, it is the same filmmakers behind it. And I'll say this as well, that Avengers Endgame came to my mind early on in watching that movie as well. And the reason why is because with Avengers Endgame, the movie was so good, I was so entertained by it from beginning to end that honestly, the movie could have been a little bit longer and I still would have been fine with that. Whereas It Chapter 2, within the first hour, I was actually checking my phone to see like what time it was, and I hate, you know, to have my phone on at all during the movie. I don't like to be, you know, one of those people basically, but I was just very curious, like how long had it been? And when I saw that it had only been an hour, I was like, oh my God, like it just felt like it was dragging. It felt like it was erratic and rushing, and yet at the same time, not much interesting happened. So it's like, even though it was kind of erratic editing, it just felt like it was dragging at the same time. I went ahead and added the 5-star figure to the background there. I did go ahead and switch the balloon to his other hand to kind of match up with the pop figure. So I think it does, you know, look a little bit better there. And the 5-star figure is cool. I actually do like it much more out of the box because I'm really not crazy about this packaging necessarily. And I do have these other figures in my collection. I have Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and Chucky as well. Sometime in October, these will be a part of my background here because I'm definitely going to be switching things up, you know, for the month of Halloween basically. But yeah, I'm going to move on here to a figure that I picked up recently. I did show this previously in a video, this Toonie Terrors, and the Toonie Terrors is a series by Neca, but I have here this Toonie Terrors Pennywise, so I'm going to get this one out as well. And yeah, like I was saying about the movie, of course, and this is no spoiler at all. I mean, we know that it focuses mainly on the Losers Club as adults. I think the casting is phenomenal. I do have to give them credit on that. The older actors match up really well with the younger actors. I mean, it's an amazing casting job. And at the same time, though, I do have to say that I feel like the adult actors maybe tried too hard to be like the younger actors, to the point where to me it felt somewhat unrealistic, just because I mean it felt over the top basically, because I know that, you know, people change over time, and we're talking about, I think they said a 27-year difference there. So that's a lot of time, and you know, I'm sure they've grown as individuals, and I can understand that, you know, coming back to Derry and being around each other, that there would be some sort of regression there, you know, and with the memories flooding back and everything. So I understand there would be a little bit of regression going on, but yeah, the actors, especially certain characters, and I really don't want to say too much, I don't want to spoil anything, you know, like I said, but there were certain characters where I just felt like the adult versions were acting way too much like the young versions. And I really want you all to think about it this way. If you were to meet up with you know, I think they're middle school age kids, you know, in It Chapter 1, but you know, just imagine that you meet up with your friends from middle school and you are full grown adults, you know, 27 years later. You would not expect the dynamic to be exactly the same, but in this movie, I mean, the dynamic is exactly the same. And I do have to go ahead and stress this, by the way, because I'm sure some people will say, well, that's how it was in the novel, but that doesn't make it okay. You know, with an adaptation, I feel like the goal of the screenwriter is to try to make improvements and to make sure it fits a movie. So maybe it worked for the novel in that way, but it just didn't feel very realistic to me for a movie. I thought the dynamic should have changed a little bit more amongst them, and I think the regression in their behavior was maybe too strong. By the way, with this figure here, he does have there's like a hole there between his fingers to thread the balloon beneath, or through, I should say. So I'm going to try to work that out here. He does have a hole at the bottom, so he can, be on a stand. It didn't come with the stand, though. That does irk me just a little bit. I feel like a figure, if it's supposed to be on a stand, I really feel like it should come with the stand. And then if you want to put it on a better stand, that's up to you as a collector. But yeah, that just irks me just a little bit. But it's not like a major thing, because I think the feet are sturdy enough that he probably could stand even without one. Unfortunately, I am seeing issues with this figure. So I was trying to thread the balloon string through, and it started pushing up. I mean, basically the wire was coming through, but it was pushing up on the the coating, basically the white part there. So this is basically not going through. The hole is way too thin, so I feel like I'd have to drill it a little bit, but that's so close to the edge of the fingers. I mean, that's going to be tricky to do. And then the balloon, and I've barely touched this, it feels like it's almost coming apart there, where the string attaches to the balloon. So yeah, there's some accessory issues, unfortunately, with this figure. Now, with the hand, I did play around with it. You can actually turn it around, and then let me see if I can steady it on here. Yeah, he actually can hold the boat, but I would not display it that way, just because if anybody bumps into that, it's going to fall off pretty easy. They should have probably had a peg to actually attach that into his hand. So yeah, this one has, unfortunately has some issues if you want to try to display this out of the packaging. So I'll play around with it, and if I can get it right, then I will add it to the background here. But for right now, I am going to have to sit this aside. There is a little articulation in the legs. I mean, it's basically just moving forward and backwards. It doesn't bend at the knees or anything. There's some slight articulation to the figure, but it seems mainly just to display it the way that they basically intended for it to be displayed. So yeah, again, unfortunately, that I wish that it was easier to display it properly, and I will work with it. Hopefully I will be able to add it to the background here in the near future. The last figure I'm going to open up, this is also by Neca, but this is definitely a more, a higher quality product here. So we have another Pennywise, of course. It comes with these different head sculpts and everything. Very nice packaging. So yeah, I'll be taking this out as I share my final thoughts about the movie. I will say in regards to the cast that Jessica Chastain she's always pretty solid. James McAvoy, same things. I wouldn't say that this is one of his better roles, and that's not anything against him. That's just because the way the character was written, he's had better dramatic roles. Isaiah Mustafa was a surprise for me. I know some people will refer to him as just the Old Spice guy. I mean, that's where a lot of people know him from. But he was pretty solid. I think he was probably one of the more believable characters, because like I said, some people were very over the top with their portrayal, trying to match up with the younger versions of them. So, and by the way, this figure, I don't know, it feels very stiff. It feels like there should be articulation, but I guess it's just got to work with it some to really get it moving. Yeah, because it definitely does have some good articulation going on. Just got to kind of play around with this but and I think it's intentionally kind of awkward as well, since it is Pennywise after all. But yeah, like I said, I think Isaiah Mustafa did a pretty solid job, and I hope this opens up a lot more serious roles for him, so that he's not thought of as just the Old Spice guy. And of course, Bill Skarsgård, as Pennywise, he did an amazing job. Again, I think he's very suited to the character. He has no vanity about him. That's what I really like. And of course, I mean, that's fitting with Pennywise. And by the way, look at the detail there with the teeth. Hopefully you can see that well enough for the focus here. Yeah, that detail with the teeth, that's pretty amazing. But yeah, Bill Skarsgård, he does a great job with the character. You could tell he really dug deep and found, the character basically. So yeah, he still does a good job with it, although I still feel like Pennywise was probably more interesting in It Chapter 1. And then also with It Chapter 1, of course, he's going after kids, so it's kind of a difference when he's going after, adults. It does make a difference. It's, I think, inherently not as scary because of that. And the scares. I got to go ahead and address the scares real quick. And again, no spoilers here, but the scares felt very repetitive to the first movie. There were maybe too many callbacks to the first movie, and a lot of jump scares. You may have heard that about the movie. There were too many jump scares going on, and they just weren't scary. Like, in fact, the audience that I was with, I think the only time that they jumped, it was really And this is not a spoiler, but I'll just say there's a moment where a character bumps into something and reacts to it, and that made people jump more than the actual supposed scares in the movie. The movie still did have atmosphere about it, but I think it just felt too similar to It Chapter 1. And then again, like I said, with it being adult characters back in that setting so soon, it just wasn't as creepy as with the first movie. Okay, and I will show you all the head sculpts here. This is, of course, from that wig scene, and or should I say the projector scene, you know, from It Chapter 1, but you see the wig off to the side there, so that's very well done. But yeah, I wasn't really into the so-called scares. The creepiness just wasn't really there for me with this particular movie. I definitely like that head sculpt there as well. Again, the mouth, Neca does a great job with that detailing going on there. And I don't know, some people may feel different when you see it. Maybe you will be a little more creeped out by it than me, but I think for a lot of people, this movie is really just about wrapping up the story, which I feel like it could have been wrapped up maybe in a more satisfying way. And there's I'm not going to give it away, but there's kind of a running gag throughout the movie that I feel like they should have taken to heart a little bit more. You know, you'll know it when you see it. And I will say that at the same time, as far as the humor is concerned, because you may have heard that there is a lot of humor within this movie, I didn't find it to be super funny like some people did. I'm not sure about what point this should be at. I'm trying to look at the blood there. I guess maybe in that area. Yeah, of course, you see that going through his head there. That is a pretty cool detail. I like that head sculpt as well, especially the mouth twisted off to the side like that. That is very cool. But yeah, that there is way too many really forced jokes to me, and too many meta jokes that, you know, of course, when I say meta, I'm talking about jokes that break the fourth wall and just kept taking me out of the movie. And there is one moment, I'm not going to give it away, but there is one little joke or Easter egg, I guess you could call it, that really made me roll my eyes. And I'm like, and it was at a moment that was supposed to be really intense, and it just killed all the tension in the scene. This quick little Easter egg, I was like, that was just so silly. So yeah, the humor, some people may have enjoyed it. I laughed a lot more at the first movie though. Even the scenes with the kids in this movie, I felt like they just weren't as solid as they were in the first movie. This figure feels like he naturally wants to stand with his feet very close together, so I'm going to have to play around with that some. Of course, I do have him on the stand now. But yeah, like I said, it feels like his feet naturally want to stay close together, and this one is kind of turned out to the side, which is awkward. So I have to work around with this some. Like I said, the figure is kind of stiff, so I'll work around with it some to get it posed, and I may even switch up the head sculpt. I really do like this one with I don't even know if that's not a poker. I guess that's like from a fence. I can't remember exactly, but you know, it has that through the head, so I may want to actually put that one on. Oh, I'll show you the hands as well that he came with. He does have some fists basically, and then the leper hand from the first movie. But yeah, I know I've been kind of all over the place with the movie, but again, I mean, that's kind of the way the movie feels, kind of all over the place. And yeah, the time, you really do feel the time when you are watching this movie. It does feels like it kind of drags. It feels like a really long movie, unfortunately. And yeah, I was getting antsy at a point, several points actually, kind of ready for the movie to go ahead and wrap up. And the more you think about the movie afterwards, you might have the same experience. I think in hindsight, you see more and more where things could have been trimmed down some to keep the energy up in the movie, to keep things moving along just a little bit faster. There's even a little subplot. I get the point of it. I don't feel like it was especially strong though. There's this little subplot that was worked in relating to one of the main characters, one of the major characters, and it, like I said, it just didn't do much for me personally. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna give the movie like a grade or anything like that. I really don't do that. I'll just say this: if you really love the first one and you just can't wait to see it at home, then yeah, go ahead and check it out on the big screen, you know, to satisfy your curiosity at least. But maybe lower your expectations just a little bit though. And I'm sure there'll be some people that really like the movie, but I think overall there's going to be a consensus that it's just not as good as the first movie. Maybe not as much of a disparity as with the original movie, you know, the TV miniseries, you know, maybe not that difference of a quality, but yeah, definitely not as strong as the first. So if you have seen the movie, though, of course, I do want to hear your opinions about it. Just be careful about spoilers for people that are new to the franchise and have not seen It Chapter 2 yet. Yeah, so just be mindful of spoilers, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts about it. You know, let me know if you're interested in checking out. I will say, if you're a casual horror fan, you might want to wait and just watch it at home, you know, in the comfort of your own home. I don't feel like there's any moments that have to be seen on the big screen, even though there are some cool visuals here and there. Even some of the cool visuals, though, they feel like too much of a callback to It Chapter 1, you know, so yeah, I just don't feel like you have to see it on the big screen unless you just can't wait, you know, and you got to satisfy your curiosity. But again, I want to hear your feedback about the movie. Let me also know what you think about the collectibles that I have here, and if you have any Pennywise or It related figures within your collection, let me know what you've added into your personal collection. I'm pretty happy with everything I have here related to Pennywise and It, except, like I said, this figure here. You know, the Toonie Terror figure, kind of a disappointment, but I'll see if I can work it out to get it displayed in a satisfying way. You'll know basically, because if you're watching my channel, then in the upcoming weeks, you may see this in the background if I work it out the way that I would like it to be displayed. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for taking the time to check it out, and I will talk to you all again real soon.